I always tell our agents, I said, hey, I know you're uncomfortable, but guess what? The way you look in person is the same way you look on camera, and the way you sound on a microphone is the same way that you sound to me when you're talking to me. So if you met them in person, you're going to look and sound the same way. So get over it. Everybody's uncomfortable. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get with it. You're not going to get there by putting it off.
Welcome to today's episode of the Waking Up to Win podcast series. I'm your host, Mark Pessin, Chief Learning Officer at Realty ONE Group. As always, we're proud to bring you insights, tools, and resources from industry leaders and our own industry experts. They continue to join us to provide you messages which are relevant, timely, and shared in a way to empower you, the real estate professional. Our goal is to help you identify today's challenges as true opportunity. So today I have the good fortune of being here with Chad Priest. Chad is the broker in charge of Realty ONE Group Coastal in South Carolina, alongside Diana Johnson, another amazing broker in our network. And together they run some of the most successful offices in the country. So Chad, thanks for being here today.
Glad to be here, man.
I'm so grateful that you were able to come on the show. I know you just actually wrapped up a sales meeting, so I know you're a busy guy and I appreciate your time today. I wanted to see if you could maybe tell the folks a little bit about yourself before we get into our topic. I know you've also had a very successful career in real estate sales as well, but could you kind of give us a little bit of background on your career?
Yeah, I've been licensed to sell real estate for a little over 5 years. Got into the market. I actually had a tech startup with a good friend of mine for about 4 years. We chewed through about $3 million of venture capital and went out of business. So I found myself needing to get another job and feed my family. And real estate was something that I had some connections with. My father-in-law was in the business at the time as well. So I jumped into it. But my background prior to real estate was technology and marketing. Was the company, the startup that we had built was geared in the tech and marketing space. So I was able to carry over a lot of the experience from that into, how I approached real estate.
Very cool. Probably explains why you had a tech background, but I know you've been using video in your business for a while. When did you really start using video to promote yourself?
Video is something I've always really been, going way back before I was into real estate. I just always enjoyed the power of video and the way that you can engage with people at just such a deep level with the right music and the right shots and the way that you can personally engage with people through video. So I've been doing video since 2010, as almost a prosumer level hobby kind of thing. And then when I got into real estate, almost 5.5, 6 years ago, there wasn't, video was still something that was kind of on the cutting edge, and a lot, people were talking about it, but not a lot of agents were executing on it. And I found myself getting into real estate, trying to compete against agents that had been in the business much longer than me. And I said, okay, what are some skill sets I have that I could leverage in video? I had a lot of gear at the time that I carried over from my other stuff. So I said, I need to use this gear and put it to work. So I immediately started doing a lot of property videos, back when I first started. And then I started using it to connect with local businesses, builders, communities, tell stories for my clients, tell my story to my clients, that kind of thing. So, it's been pretty much my entire real estate career at this point.
And I remember a long time ago, I looked at your email signature and you have a great video, kind of a video of yourself and your family and kind of telling your story. When did you come up with that idea and how impactful has that been with your clients?
Yeah, so that video, when did we shoot that? We shot that in the summer of 2017, I think. So it's been a little while. I did have a friend of mine who's a cinematographer who actually learned a lot of my skills from. I actually had him come help me with it. So I can't take credit. I did come up with the general concept of what we were framing up in the video. But yeah, what was great about that, it was a branding piece that is really evergreen. So I think when agents are thinking about the type of content, and the goal of that video was to basically just connect with my audience in a personal way. So it was less about real estate and more about, instead of using the word house, let's use the word home and talk about what home means to you personally, the home you grew up in. Just making some connection points with people on an emotional level and involve my family with it. But yeah, I've used that video I mean, probably up until the point I took over as a broker in charge when I was still actively selling, I was running that video constantly on various, platforms like Facebook ads and things like that continuously. And, I've walked into the hardware store down the street from our office and had somebody say, "Hey, you're the guy in that video." So, I mean, I've had a lot of people, it's a pretty powerful piece. I'm most proud of that video. I think different videos have different places, but when you put a lot of effort into a particular video or you're investing money into it, or you're hiring a professional to do it, think through the lens of making it evergreen so that, 6 months, 12, 18 months from now, that would still be a timely video. So as you think through the types of shots you're going to have and the dialogue you're going to use, just making sure that it's something, if you're going to make that investment, you can use it over and over and over again.
Yeah, I have to tell you, it was very impressive. It was very memorable. It definitely stuck with me. I'd love for our listeners to be able to check it out. Is that something that's still online that they could go see if they wanted to?
Yes. I'll get you a link, maybe if I send you a link after this. So I don't know how you want to share that. I don't have it, like my personal agent page, I don't have anymore because I'm not selling now. So I used to have it on that site, but I can certainly send you a link I think I've got it on my Vimeo page.
That'd be great.
I can send you a link to it.
Okay. So obviously video is something that you've been doing for a long time. How would you say your use of video has evolved now that you're in a different role and wearing a different hat?
Well, a couple of things. One is I think video used to be, I had a little bit of a lead on the learning curve for video, but I've seen quickly how the real estate market has jumped into video, and I'm seeing a lot more agents jump into video. So the landscape, it's kind of become, you don't just need to do video now, you need to do video and do it well and do it creatively. So kind of recognizing that it's not just about doing property videos anymore. Those are great, but if that's all you're doing, you're really missing a lot of opportunity there. So I think really connecting with stories, connecting with people, the community, the businesses, things like that through your videos. And then, for us, it shifted, or for me, it shifted in terms of how I use video now. I'm looking at it. Of course, we're creating some recruiting pieces, but I'm looking at it from the standpoint of how do I educate the agents at our brokerage to do video well? How do I equip them to do it well, teach them skills? So, and then the other thing, like recently what we've done, the last 6 to 12 months, we really doubled down on live streaming at a professional level. So, investing in a lot more equipment, software, computers, things like that, so that we can live stream at the highest level, so that we can educate our agents, through classes online. And fortunately, the timing, just for what it's worth, looking at the positive with everything that's going on, the timing worked out well for us in terms of, we were well equipped to deal with this crisis because we have everything we need to continue doing business and supporting our agents virtually at a high level. And one other thing that we started doing, we got a piece of equipment from a company called LiveU, LIVEU. And it's a box that basically, it has multiple cellular routers built into it. And it combines the bandwidth of all three cellular carriers, so Verizon, T-Mobile, and AT&T. And I can take my DSLR with a professional audio rig and a professional stabilizer, and I can go out to a property with one of my agents, and I can pop my feed from my SLR audio feed into this box, and I can stream live to Facebook or any live platform in real time and do virtual walkthroughs with my agents, but they're crystal clear. The audio is fantastic. Wow. So one thing we've done for our brokerage is I've said, hey guys, I've got this equipment. I'm not going to charge anything for it. If any of you want me to meet you at a property, you got to do it. You got to be in it. I'll do a live walkthrough with you of your property and let you kind of do like a HGTV style walkthrough of the house.
How cool is that?
It's worked out really well. It's a cool, it's not for everybody. It's not cheap, but I will say it's been, again, just the timing's worked out well. So we're doing, a handful of those walkthroughs a week with our agents, and, the sellers really appreciate it. They're seeing extra effort from our agents.
Sure.
And the end product, it's still live, it's still raw. It's not, it's not a polished video with music, but it's crystal clear. It looks great. It stands out, but it also allows the agent to just connect organically with their audience when they see them, just being real, walking through the property, but it's still a really nice product.
Well, I mean, I've got to believe that not only do your agents benefit from that because it's helping them be able to conduct their business in a time where people are trying to maintain their distance, but I'm sure your sellers absolutely love the exposure that it gives them.
Yeah. And one of my agents sent me a screenshot of a text message. I went out to their listing. I think it was last week, and we did a walkthrough. She texted the agent afterwards and just said, I can't thank you enough for just going above and beyond for me right now with everything that's going
Truly.
on, and, on and on. And she had sent me that screenshot and just said, thanks for supporting me. So, as brokers, we all have different skill sets, like with Diana and I. Diana has been in the business way longer than me. She produced at a much higher level than I did in the time that she was in the business. She's been in the business for 15 years. I've been in the business less than 6. Her ability to give agents feedback and insight on dealing with contract issues and negotiating and things like that, she operates at a higher level in that. So, we complement each other in the fact that my role is really technology, marketing, things like that, and making sure the agents are supported in every direction between the two of us.
Yeah, you guys make an amazing team. I mean, Kathy Baker and I are always talking about what an incredible team you guys are.
Thank you. Thank you.
Of course. So I guess the question that I would ask is for our listeners who are primarily real estate professionals, how would an agent get started? I think a lot of agents still have a fear of getting involved in video, certainly getting in front of a camera, although I do think that one of the other silver linings of what's going on right now is that a lot more people are getting in front of cameras, probably webcams more than anything else. But if an agent just wanted to get started in using video either to promote themselves or their property listings, what would be a good place for them to get started, and trying to be conscious of, their costs and not, looking for them to break the bank right now?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think from a couple perspectives, content wise, as far as what you can be talking about right now, I'm doing a class today with our brokerage to show them pull up, like with our MLS, we call it the hot sheet. I can pull up and see how many properties were listed in the last 24 hours, how many properties sold in the last 24 hours, and just pulling those stats and getting in front of a camera and talking to your sphere about what's happening. Because the reality is, and I know every market's different, our market's still moving. It's not moving at the pace that we would like, but things are still happening. And I think being in front of your audience and just reminding them, having that good energy and excitement about what you do, and talking to people like things are still happening. People are still buying homes. People are still closing on homes. People are still putting in offers. So they need to hear that from you. And I think one thing that most agents are friends with other agents on Facebook, and usually you're friends with 3,000 other agents on Facebook. So your Facebook feed gets bottlenecked with all this real estate content. So naturally, we assume everyone else has that same experience. And the reality is people who aren't in real estate don't see all the stuff that we see every day. So you have to remember, you're not just noise to them when you're talking about some of this stuff. You may be one of the few real estate people in their feed. So
that's such a great point.
Get in front of them with that energy, get in front of them with some positive statistics, things like that. As far as content or as far as gear goes, it's gotten harder to get things right now as far as shipping and things like that. It's also a lot of stuff is sold out. But if you're just getting started, and let's just say you got $200 to spend, the best camera is going to be your phone. Generally, if you've got a decent phone, go pick up a gimbal. If you've got a couple $100, DJI Osmo 3 is the current one. I think it's $129. So that's going to stabilize your phone for you. And then I would go get a decent microphone. So Rode, Rode, has a video mic that plugs right into the bottom of an iPhone. I think it runs $60. So for under $100, I've got a gimbal, a mic, and I can walk through a property. It's going to sound good. I always tell people, if somebody's watching a video and the video is blurry or breaking up a little bit, people will tolerate that. But if the sound is choppy and they can't make out what you're saying, they're going to turn it off and move on to the next thing. So sound's important. So make sure.
I completely agree.
So yeah, I would say do that. But generally right now, I know it varies on market. In South Carolina, we're shelter in place right now, but real estate's an essential service. So we're able to still go out and do certain things. But if you're stuck at home right now, get Zoom and do a Zoom or a Facebook Live, pull your property up on your website or your MLS feed and just go flick through the pictures and, have yourself on camera in the corner and just talk about the property. Pull up market stats in real time and go through and record it and post it. So there's a lot of things you can talk about right now. Even if you can't get into a home to do a tour of it, I would encourage you to still get on Zoom or do social things where you can still talk about this stuff in front of people and interact.
That's great advice. And obviously you're a huge proponent of video, but for agents that maybe aren't using it right now or aren't using it extensively, what impact do you believe the video would have on an agent's business if they adopted it?
So I think what you have to remember is the most intimate way we can engage with somebody is face to face. And outside of that, the next best thing is video. You can talk to somebody, you can text them. I always tell agents, if I send you a text message and you read it, you will by default assign a tone of voice or an attitude to that text as you read it, and it may or may not be correct. But if I send you a video and you hear the tone of my voice and you see the expressions on my face, you're going to totally understand what I'm talking about. You're going to get that communication and you're going to connect with me better. And we always talk about, people are going to work with those that know you, like you, trust you. And to get to know you, to get to like you, and to get to trust you, they're going to need to see your face, hear your voice. You got to get in front of people right now with video. I think, like you mentioned before, the silver lining here, I think a lot of people that were hesitant before are, they're kind of getting squeezed to the point where they're like, I got to try it. I always tell our agents, I said, hey, I know you're uncomfortable, but guess what? The way you look in person is the same way you look on camera, and the way you sound on a microphone is the same way that you sound to me when you're talking to me. So if you met them in person, you're going to look and sound the same way. So get over it. Everybody's uncomfortable. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get with it. You're not going to get there by putting it off. And the other thing I'll tell you, a lot of agents make the mistake of, particularly with property videos, if you do a property video, you absolutely need to be in it as the agent. It may be just the beginning and the end to kind of introduce yourself and introduce the property and close it out with how they can get in touch with you. But you're missing the boat if you're just doing a tour that's got some pan shots of the house with some music in the background. That's great. The video you're doing is not just about selling that property. It's about marketing yourself and building your brand. And if you're not doing those things, so I would say just get in front of the camera, give people the opportunity to know who you are. And the only way you're going to do that is just by executing. Just got to get out there and do it.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that is the challenge, is just getting out there and doing it. I know that there's that reluctance. I think it's no different than maybe the call reluctance that agents have to call customers, but the more you do it, the easier it becomes. So I appreciate the advice. And the last question I have for you, Chad, is if an agent is looking for some resources or some guidance or some training on video, is there anything online that you could recommend or places that they could go to maybe get some inspiration?
Yeah, so that's a great question. As far as resources, one of the main ones I'd tell you to plug into is on Facebook. There's a group called RETV. It's just a real estate group for people that do video. It's a big group. It's one of those groups that's got, 7,000 people in it. If you want to get some ideas, I always say about video is be you. So be careful to copy what other people are doing if it doesn't line up with who you are. So use it for inspiration, but don't just necessarily copy what other people are doing. Try to look at what other people are doing and approach it from how you could leverage that, but in an authentic way. So, but RETV is probably the main one that I would check out. And the thing I like about that group is there's people from, agents that are posting the first video they've ever done to guys that have $30,000 production team for a, $12 million listing in Orange County. So you get to see a lot of different stuff, right? The other thing I wanted to mention, going back to our previous conversation, was one thing that I think is very powerful right now. We talked about it on the town hall that we did, but the consumption of live video is up over 50% right now from a viewership standpoint. And the reason for that is live video allows the viewer to engage and participate in real time. And if you think about how lonely a lot of folks are right now at home, not being able to go anywhere, they're hungry for engagement. So when you go live, you're providing an opportunity for people to engage. So you need to look for opportunities to go live. If you are not comfortable going live, you can go live on Facebook to your own page and have it set so that it only broadcasts the live stream to you. So if you want to go live and practice, you can set it up when you go live to just go on to the only me setting. So you can kind of do a couple dry runs of a Facebook Live and practice it without the fear of other people seeing you fumble around, which again, you're probably going to fumble around when you really do it. And that's totally okay. It actually makes the live better. But I just wanted to point out, if anybody wants to practice live video, you can do that prior to doing the real thing.
That's really cool. I just learned something. I didn't even know you could do that. So that's very cool. What a great little way to get them in there and get them to start practicing.
Yeah, I do. Anytime we get new tech toys or anything or new graphics I'm trying out for live feeds, I'll practice our show. We do a lot of Facebook Live at a high level, but I had a goof up today at our sales meeting. with, 70 something people watching, but it's just the way it goes. It's technology.
Yes.
I will tell you
Well,
one
and
thing.
you're human.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, this whole situation that we're in right now, I think people's margin for kind of understanding and grace when you have these tech goofs is much broader than it ever has been before, because we're all dealing with it, right? Everybody's on these awkward Zoom calls and things like that. Just don't be afraid to get out in front of your audience, make mistakes, learn from them. You'll get better, but just be yourself. That's what people are going to connect with.
Chad, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. I could probably talk to you about this for a couple hours, but I want to be respectful of your time. And I know you've got a lot to do, but I'm excited because I know you're going to be coming back and doing some more agent town halls for us in a couple of weeks, talking specifically about video. So for those that are listening, please stay tuned to our agent town hall meetings, because Chad's going to be sharing a lot more of this stuff with us. So Chad, thanks for being here today. It means a lot. And I look forward to talking to you again very soon.
Appreciate it, Mark. My pleasure.
And of course, a big thank you to our growing audience of podcast listeners. Thank you for staying connected to us and to each other. Remember, my friends, by working together, we will achieve greater success faster.